Got the money?
Yeah.
10.99.
That's what you get change.
I'll take the tip rather. Now this here, stick it in a bowl of applesauce, put it away.
I got some things to talk about.
Yeah, take your time.
So roughly 8 months ago, I put up a video explaining about VR and all this other nonsense about VR. But there's a lot of things that have come up since that videos came out as well. I wanted to talk about as well, and it's a lot of different topics I wanted to just dive into to sort of chip away at. I talk a lot about this on my Twitter, by the way, if you want to, just whatever. As to regards as what came up new, a few things, not a lot. It's going to be a small little thing that I'm just going to sit here and talk about. I just realized this is lopsided. One of the biggest things I want to talk about was roughly the age of my Oculus Rift, the CV1, starting to actually show. Where first off, the headset is starting to... The headset itself is fine, but the cable itself, you can tell there's a lot more wear and tear delved into it, where you'll see a lot of green stripes and stuff showing up a lot, and it's just a lot of visual bugs just showing up every once in a while. Especially my extension cables that I bought originally, those basically don't work anymore. They still work, but it's very poor of an experience. But the headset cable itself is also wearing down a lot, to the point where it's getting in the way of me playing it, and sometimes it'll flash in and out of connectivity, completely killing whatever game I'm playing. I knew when I bought it, eventually something like this would happen, but whenever I go to buy a new cable, which was 70 bucks or something like that, I accepted that going in. But whenever I even go out to buy that cable, Oculus themselves doesn't even, sell that cable anymore. So in order for me to purchase a new cable for this headset, this particular setup, I need to trust somebody off of eBay, which I don't really want to spend even the 70 bucks on somebody off of eBay, but not even that. The prices for that specific cable have been going up and up and up. That, and not even to mention the fact that I think the Oculus software uses up a lot more performance-wise, uses a lot more, it's just, the age is showing itself a lot. The God rays are becoming more and more in the way for me, in a sense. It's a lot more nitty, small stuff that comes up that really has impacted the experience whenever I'm actually using it. While it's still, all those other negatives are still there. T's coming down.
Blow the horn. Don't blow the audio.
Dave, stop. God.
Yeah!
Yeah! Oh, Christ.
Could have been more hard than that fucking beat, but...
I didn't think it would just be like a beep. Like an actual, like... Here goes for seconds, are you kidding? Well, the Oculus Rift itself was officially discontinued back in early to mid 2019. And that was mostly because the Oculus Rift S was launched at that point as well. Oculus wants to support that headset a lot more nowadays because that's their flagship PC end of things. Don't blame them on that whatsoever. But the fact remains, where I'm trying to use up this perfectly good, working, usable piece of technology, and the one thing wrong with it, aside from, a myriad of other issues, but the one thing that's stopping me from actually using the thing is a cable that I can't replace. Hey, Nate from the future. I wanted to clarify on some points that I made during the video when I was shooting and stuff. And I was aware I was going to film more stuff, but it's like, whatever. When I'm talking about the Oculus Rift cable, I mean specifically the cable that attaches to the headset itself, the HMD, whatever you want to call it. That has been dinged up on my personal experience very much. Especially even early on. I got the headset like 1 to 2 months in use. That cable has always been pretty dinged up, but after it's been like almost 2 years now, it's finally kicked the bucket on its own end, which granted I sort of expected that to a certain degree, but it's like, this is sort of similar in a sense where like once I get into, you know, replacing parts and stuff for things, me myself personally, I've always been a tinkerer. I've always messed with things, you know, tried to fix things myself, just sort of in my nature, I guess. Even when it comes to like my car and stuff, I don't know much about cars, but I still want to fix it myself. I'd rather do it myself than do it a mechanic for me. That's just in my nature. Obviously I don't know much about cars, so I don't fix it myself that much, but that's an analogy, I suppose, for future differences. My personal belief, my methodology behind things is fixing my own things. And if a part goes wrong, if I see that visibly something is wrong and something can be fixed, I personally want to fix it myself. And if that involves buying a certain part, a cable, even at $70 from Oculus themselves, I was willing to bite that bullet. I was willing to say, hey, this $70 cable, I can't use this without it. So it's better than buying a whole new headset. So I just would rather buy it. Actually, let me grab that cable. Hold on one second. So here's the headset as it is right now. My personal Oculus Rift. See, as you can tell, the lighting here is kind of dog shit. Whatever. The headset itself is perfectly fine. Is perfectly a-okay. It has seen a little bit of wear and tear, obviously, because I played with it. But otherwise, it's good. It's perfectly fine. The lenses are perfectly fine. I've taken good care of this thing. But even like the lenses, as you can see, they look quite alright to me. I don't know. They look fine. I didn't even clean up before doing this, so it could be worse, it could be better. But other than that though, the cable is definitely the drawback. Or if we take a look at this cable, I don't feel like unplugging it completely because it's a pain in the ass to put back. But look at this cable. Look at this cable. Hopefully get that out of shot. This cable has been beaten to death so much. It doesn't look so bad off the top of the, off the bat here. But once you get into the little kinks into the cable and stuff like that, autofocus does not want to help here. No? Okay, whatever. You sort of see what I'm saying though, where this cable's been beaten to death. Especially towards especially like right here at the very beginning of it from the headset. There's a little, that's something that's I can't fix. It's a bad cable. Like if you look at the controllers here, let me show just the quality. Look at these. They're fine. They're perfectly fine. I've owned these things for almost 2 years now, and they're perfectly fine. They're perfectly workable. They work really well from what I use, and it just feels so comfortable to me. I don't know, it just feels so nice. Even the sensors, like with some specific power draw issues that I've had over the time, besides that, it's a good setup. It really is. I just wish you could buy this cable. That's all I want, is just to buy this cable. The problem with these cables is nobody's talking about them. Nobody's, like, aside from the real niche people that already have one of these headsets that have used them up to the point where the headset's going bad. This is an early onset problem, I think, that most people don't have to deal with. So when this sort of problem comes up and we're constantly talking about
this cable that needs to be replaced, this part and stuff. It seems so specific because most people haven't had this issue yet. They haven't had to deal with this at all.
It gets in the way. It really does. It just gets in the way of whenever I'm actually playing. So I'm looking at alternatives. I'm looking into buying the premium option, the Valve Index, which is a lot more expensive than I'm really wanting to put down for this sort of stuff. But at this point, I don't really care. I just want something else instead. I could buy the Oculus Rift S, which I personally tried. It works very well. But for what I use these things for and what I want longevity's sake, I don't know if I'm willing to commit for another Oculus product at that point. Still great value-wise, but I don't know. Another point of discussion is how the Valve Index has been out of stock for months. And that could either be one of two things. One, people are buying them up like crazy because there's another game coming, which I'll talk about later. But two, the Valve Index controllers, the things that wrap around your hand, you shrink past your fingers and stuff, those I think have been more frequently updated right now because there was a few issues that came out during launch about those, but I think they're coming out with newer versions and they're like RMA, you know, customer service replacing them and stuff like that, which is great. I'm all for that as long as the stock comes before that flagship game comes out. That's the one big thing, and they say that's going to happen anyway. So, but I'm even like at this point right now willing to drop $1,000 on something else from a different company just to make sure that it's going to last me longer than a year and a half, 2 years. I'm not knocking the company itself. They make a lot of really good games, first-party stuff. They fund a lot of games, and they also make good hardware, especially value-wise. They make really good hardware, but myself, when I'm looking to invest a lot of money into something, I try to put the value towards it. And even if I spend the extra amount of money, as long as it lasts longer, I'm not necessarily negative in that sense. I try to look things that last me a long time, as long as I take care of them, obviously. So when this stupid cable, that it is very, there's a lot behind the cable from what I've seen online, but it's still a cable. It's still a cable. Even if it's $70 that I gotta pay from Oculus themselves, I'm okay with that. But they don't sell it anymore. They haven't for the past year. So I'm shit out of luck. I don't have a choice but to either go with another Oculus product or go with the new Valve Index, which I personally find a lot more interesting. Plus, with the Valve Index's case, seeing like how you can transition from the HTC Vive to the Valve Index by replacing just the headset or the controller or whatever, that's a lot more appealing to me because it seems like they're willing to use the same technology for longer periods of time versus Oculus. That's my only gripe with it.
While the Steam controller itself, this thing, which, by the way, I love this controller, if you haven't heard. The Steam controller itself wasn't popular for years and years, so is the Steam Link, but the Steam Link's a different topic. But these came out roughly 2015, I believe, and they were supported directly from Steam until 2019. So the same year that the Oculus Rift was officially not supported was the same year this wasn't supported. And this came out a year after the Steam controller. So just from that track record alone with Valve's hardware, I think they're a lot more supportive in long-term sense. And I think if they weren't, and a lot of people once Valve ends a thing, we're not going to be happy.
So Valve in themselves are a game company that have been making games for years and years and years and years and years. A lot of really good heads behind the company, a lot of things going on that's good. They just haven't made a game in 10 years. At least a new game. They made Dota 2 back in like 2013, which that's still a big deal. That makes a lot of money still. It's free. It's a good game overall. But that's been their last like actual, video game, I guess you can say. They're, as far as what everybody else plays, like the single player, story driven, like either Portal, Half-Life, whatever, they haven't made a single game in 10 years. Portal 2 was their last significant first person, single player, whatever game back in 2010. So it's now 2020, people are wanting the new game. What the fuck? So Valve's first flagship game in 10 years is now Half-Life ALyx, which isn't a sequel, it isn't Half-Life 3 that everybody wants, but it's still a flagship Half-Life game on VR, and it's a prequel, so it's still significant in the sense of story. So it's still a significant game, it's just on VR. A lot of people don't like that, but I personally am just really excited about it. The Valve Index itself does come with Half-Life ALyx for free as well, even for people who already bought it. So in that sense, it's good. And it seems to want to use a lot of the same technology behind what Boneworks had, which Boneworks was essentially a tech demo where using a lot more realistic physics and interaction with your body and things. There's a lot more videos that explain it better than this one would be, but they're using that same technology behind Half-Life ALyx as well. Yeah, so the reason I'm looking into getting an Index instead of a Rift or a Rift S or whatever, it's mostly because that has a lot more improvements over what I had on the Oculus Rift. Despite the fact that it's not as deep of a black, since it's a non-OLED display, it's an LCD, I think that the improvements, at least in retrospect, are going to be a lot more better, considering that you can adjust the FOV very easily to the whole eye thing. And have increased refresh rate. You can have increased refresh rate on a lot of your games as well, past 90 Hertz, which the Rift had 90 Hertz. And then the fact that most of my games for VR are on the Steam end of things already. So whenever I'm playing most of my games in VR, I have to run the Oculus backend stuff, as well as the Steam backend stuff. So it's translated properly and everything works. Having that extra process all the time is always a pain. He's good, he's good. So in the long term of things, I think the Oculus Rift, is starting to fail off on me. It's the amount of money I put into it, it's not getting much of a return. The cable's starting to fail out on me. They don't sell it anymore. It's just becoming a point where it's redundant to use it sometimes. I think the Valve Index is going to be a lot better as far as long-term support moving forward. I think the cable's going to be a lot easier to replace. Knowing Valve, they're a lot better. Even the Steam controller lasting that long, I think this would last at least 3 years, which the other one didn't really.
Oh, hi. I'm Mark Zuckerberg, owner of Facebook and other technological companies.
You're not Mark Zuckerberg. Who the fuck are you?
Of course I'm Mark Zuckerberg. Well, the real one, anyways. The one you've seen is just an imitation, a homunculus even, for I control all the news you see. That is just a stand-in, rather a replica, to hide the true Mark Zuckerberg, with enhanced editing software and Photoshop. That is how it's been done. So the golden question is, why are you here? Why are you kidnapped? Well, simply because you've been slandering me and my company. You've been telling people to not buy from the marketplace. Instead, go buy to eBay or Craigslist instead of the glorious marketplace, the place that everyone should be buying things from. For that is the most safest, secure, and money-back guaranteed you'll receive. Not these falsely claimed better shopping places. And I can't have that. I can't have you besmirching my name and company like that at all. No. You see, I want to expand the marketplace. You have been buying off the wrong people. I, or rather you, and all of America and everywhere else in the world should be buying from my place, the marketplace, the Zook store of America. Mr. Daniel, I have no other choice but to torture you. The only way I know how, and possibly the worst way I know. With the Facebook. Herein lies everyone who ever signed up for Facebook. Even your friends, including Brian.
Oh, hey, it's Brian.
Now, once I rip his image from the book of face, he will cease to exist. Such like so. Even your other friend Liam will suffer the same.
Who uses Facebook?
Well, Nathaniel, I have no other choice but to use my other choice. I will show you true fear.
What do you think this is? It's not my first time watching VR.
Hey, Zuck. Sold another busted up cord. Need another one.
Yeah?
You know that 4K HD what brings in the high bucks.
Yeah. Here you go, Lackey.
That's right, brother. $29.99, brother. Unless they ain't got smaller bills.
Bye. Now time to buy the rest of these indexes.